Thank you, everyone, for joining me today. My name is Michael Smith. I'm the National Consumer Education Manager of Janome Canada. And yes, we're back for another Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour. And again, ooh, what will it be? It's a mystery. Well, we've got, as usual, lots to show. So I'll try not to keep it, too late today. I'm trying to keep these a little bit shorter, but there's always so much to say. So yes, what machine will we be featured today on Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour? Well, before I reveal, how about Tanya, you do a quick little flip to say hello? Because yes, I'm joined by our fabulous Parts, Notions, and Accessories coordinator, Tanya, to film me here at the Janome Sewing and Learning Centre in Oakville, Ontario. So yes, what machine will it be? Well, we can pan the camera over, da-da-da, I know, hopefully very quickly and smoothly. With the tripod, yes, I know, with the tripod, or it's not so smooth. But yes, the fabulous Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour machine is the M100 Qdc. Now, this is such a cute machine, M standing for maker, and very proudly Canadian as well. Now, not every Janome company around the world carries all the same machines. So your Janome, depending on where you are, may have a similar machine, but this M100 is, again, proudly Canadian for our Canadian market. Now, those of you who were, do you remember 2017? Sounds like so long ago now, but do you remember, especially if you came to Quilt Canada here in Mississauga, Ontario in 2017, and we had the special commemorative Quilt Canada model. It was the M100, or we were calling it the M150 for the, Canada 150. But it was the same M100 model, basically. So yes, with the special Tamara Kate Canada 150 logo. So again, a very special machine in the hearts of Canadians. I didn't even get one of these machines. I know, they sold out so quickly. They were so great. But yes, so the M100 is, again, a very special machine. And did you know, since I'm all about coordinating, we have the 4DLM serger with the same M, the same maker logo. So isn't that cute that you can get your M100 Qdc machine and then get your serger to match? So that's great. Now, of this this maker range, there is the M50 that has 50 stitches. The M100 has 100 stitches. And then we have the M200 with 200 stitches. Now, this is the perfect machine. Again, it's certainly lightweight, very compact. If, again, you're going to travel, eventually when COVID restrictions, lift enough where people can start traveling to, classes in person, this would be a great machine, a great travel machine. Again, it's very lightweight. I remember for the Canada 150 machines, a lady I spoke with said, she keeps that machine in her house in Florida. And when they drive down in the motorhome, she can be sewing while they're traveling. So I thought, how great is that? But again, a lot of people then prefer these machines. This is their machine. This is their primary machine. It's got a lot of certainly bells and whistles without the big price point of some of those higher end machines. And then again, it's got some electronic features and a lot of the features that, sewists love, but there's not too many of them to be too overwhelming. So it's that perfect, kind of mid-range machine. So one thing I love right away is they have the extension table. I'll move that out of the way. This beautiful extension table that comes with, so again, lots of room to support your product if you're not able to, recess your machine in a table. So that's fabulous. It does have the little accessory case as well, so lots of room for all your accessories. There's so many that come with this machine. It's wonderful. Certainly as we look at the machine, it's very light and pretty, and again, very lightweight, but I always love to show everybody, the skeletons that no matter what Janome machine you have, be it an embroidery machine, a serger, a long arm quilting machine, a cover hem machine, all of the Janome sewing machines, machines in general, start out as this aluminum base, cast aluminum base, so it's nice and sturdy, and then then again, all the pretty pieces are added to it. So very good and sturdy, even though it is lightweight and very portable. So that's great. We're looking at about, I think it's about 6 3/4, almost 7 inches of throat space here, and about almost 5 inches high. So still lots of room. The QDC stands for Quilting Decor, so any of your home dec items, or C being couture, so clothing. So this is a perfect all-around machine for no matter what kind of sewing you're going to do. Now, again, a lot of features that every sewist loves. We've got stop-start, so we don't have to use the foot pedal all the time. We've got the reverse button, so that's great to backstitch. We've got the lock button. Everybody loves that. So then you can just do a couple of little like tacking stitches to finish your row of stitching. Needle up down, which is great. Scissor button, everybody loves that, to cut your bobbin threads. And then again, you can see they're all easily within reach. So it's set up totally conveniently. You don't even have to look after a while. You just kind of get where the feel is. And then, yes, speed control, great. So again, if you're teaching someone to sew, a new sewist, or maybe doing something a little more intricate, maybe you want to turn that speed dial down. I often do that when I'm doing my decorative stitches. For example, I will turn it down so I'm not going so fast. I find the stitches form a little bit better as well. Now, again, we've got the touch screen here. So if you're looking for, you want to upgrade from your, basic mechanical machine and you want some electronic push button features, but again, nothing too overwhelming, then again, the M100 is perfect for that. We've got our LCD screen here, which then shows the presser foot that we're going to use, which is our regular zigzag foot, but it tells us what presser foot to use, and then these first numbers here are our stitch selection. We've got this cute little handy stitch chart, which I absolutely love. Now, the stitch chart is in your instruction manual as well at the back, so you can see all your stitches, but it just parks up here on the top of the machine, so you can easily see what stitch that you want. So the first indicator here, we can go up our stitch numbers by tens. So again, we've got 100 stitches, so I don't have to scroll through one after one after one after one. I can instead jump by tens. So here I can jump 40, 50, 60, or then if I want, stitch 61, for example, this little kind of feather chicken scratch stitch, then I can select with this. So I can go up or down by ones with this selection, so that's great. The next indicator over is our stitch width. And no matter what Janome machine that you have, the width is always that little kind of zigzag indicator, basically, of the width. So I can go up or down. I can't go up here, and you can tell by that little beeping indicator you've gone as far up as you can go, in which case it's 7 millimeters. So I know this is a 7 millimeter wide machine, and that refers to the opening here on the needle plate. So we've got 5 millimeter machines, 7 millimeter machines, and 9 millimeter machines. So this, just by looking at my chart here on my LCD screen, 7 millimeter is the maximum. So my machine's a 7 millimeter. And then the next indicator over is stitch length. So again, we can do up and down to increase or decrease, and depending on the stitch that we have selected, there's always a preset of how much the maximum is. So you can experiment with those. The buttons I loved the most. So here I'm playing around, and again, it's telling me, I'm going to use my F foot, because I'm going to use 67 is this, it's a satin stitch. So great, I'm going to use my F foot. And then, but it's like, no, now I just want to go back to regular straight stitch. Instead of, selecting and going all the way back, I just hit that button there. So I think, that's great. So these buttons down here are your commonly used utility stitches, basically. So our straight stitch, center needle position, 3.5, that's half of 7. So I know then my center needle position is 3.5, and that's just regular straight stitch. And then again, I can lengthen or shorten my stitch length. But another common selection then is this Zig-Zag. And you may wonder, oh, what does M stand for? And again, a lot of Janome machines have it, where you may see in your manual or again on your stitch chart, there's an M here next to that Zig-Zag. And what that is your M, your middle needle position. So your zigzag is going to start in the middle and it's going to zig off to the right and zig off to the left. Whereas when I look at this one, stitch number 7 is R. So when if you watch the needle here, as I select to stitch number 7, then it swung the needle over to R, which is right. So that means my zigzag is going to start in the right needle position, and then it's going to zig over to the middle needle position. Now, the other selection that you'll commonly see then is stitch number 5 here is L, and it looks like this little lightning bolt, little zigzag. This stitch is a great stitch for if you're sewing knits on your sewing machine. Then this little lightning stitch is what I often call it, is great because it's a little zigzag, so it gives you the stretch that you need for knits, but it's not going to be, you know, too big. So then if you wanted to press that seam open, for example, then it allows you to do that because that's a very narrow little zigzag. And when I select stitch number 5, you'll see my needle will swing. Now it's in center needle position, but now when I select it, it goes over to the left. So then the L is for left, the M is for middle, and R is for right. So again, that's true of all Janome machines. The wonderful thing is, no matter what Janome machine you have, these stitches you'll recognize, you know, on many of your machines. And as you go up the Janome line, they just keep adding more to them. But these are common in most machines. So again, they're easy to identify.
I can't believe I didn't know the M meant middle.
Oh, yes. Well, and exactly. And it's fun to experiment and you try. And what you do, and this is exactly what I do. So here, when whenever I sit down at a brand new machine and I just stitch on it. So there's my M zigzag, and then there's my right zigzag. And you can see how it jogged over to the right. And then when I tried my little stitch number 5, the little lightning zigzag, there it is. And I can see, oh, it jumped all the way to the left. And there's my little zigzag. So you just need to experiment. Now, the good thing is, too, all the machines come with, oh yes, our instruction book. Make sure you review that. And then it does have the DVD, so make sure that you review that as well. So there's lots of information there to be had. And again, you just play with your stitches. Now another common stitch here is this Overcast stitch. So I just hit that, stitch number 9 up on my stitch chart. And this is great if you want to mimic a serger stitch, that if you don't have a serger, or even if you do have a serger, you know, I use this stitch a lot. In fact, I wrote a blog on Janome Life blog about using this Overcast stitch on my machine, because I just had a small little repair. It was about maybe 2 inches of my shirt that I was wearing. So instead of threading up my serger with all those cones of thread and trying to match it all, instead I just quickly threaded my machine. I put on my C foot that's included, which I'll show in just a minute. And then I did very quickly this overcast, this over edge stitch that mimics the serger. So then it was able to do my row of seaming and finish off that raw edge. So no trouble at all, and done so quickly. So that's a great stitch to use, and again, it's on this handy, you know, quick selection. Buttonholes is another of quick selection. Now you have 7 buttonholes in this machine, so again, lots of versatility, but they've got just the most kind of common one here at a quick selection. Now you'll see on your LCD screen that it has an R, which is your buttonhole, automatic buttonhole foot, which is here conveniently, so that's great. And then this icon next to it, this little indicator there, is your buttonhole lever. Now with this automatic buttonhole foot is R, and I demoed this in the A to Z with Janome series that's up on the Janome HQ YouTube channel, I demonstrated the R. It was actually in the B episode because I talked about buttons and buttonholes. And this R, automatic buttonhole foot, needs this buttonhole lever to be engaged in order to work. And again, conveniently, you have it on your screen, but sometimes when people say on, Facebook and social media and stuff, they pull this down and go, wait a minute, this isn't working. What's wrong? Well, this is your needle threader. So this is very convenient, but then no, you don't want this. Oh, and I have it engaged too. I don't need it engaged. That this is your needle threader. So no, your buttonhole lever is just behind that. So off to the side of, I think, virtually every Janome machine is a thread cutter. And the buttonhole lever, when I position, oh, here's the thread cutter. And if I feel around up here, oh, that's where the buttonhole lever is around where the thread cutter is. So this is the lever you want for your automatic buttonhole foot. It's going to basically bump into both of these guides, because then this you can position based on your button, and that buttonhole lever is going to bump into these guides to size your buttonhole correctly. So that's, it needs to be in place. So if you're trying to use this foot and it's like, oh, it's not working, ultimately you just have to look on your LCD screen and it tells you, hey, that buttonhole lever needs to be in place. And again, there's always instruction in the manual too. But again, I sometimes see pictures on social media where they're like, I have this down and it's not working. Well, again, that's the thread cutter, or that's the threader, the automatic threader. And again, that's a wonderful feature too on so many Janome machines. Makes it very quick and convenient.
Luciano says hello.
Oh my gosh, hello, Luciano. Wonderful. It's great to see you. Now, yes, and the last of these automatic, easily programmed buttons is this scissor button. So let's say, oh, I'm going to do my buttonhole. So if I just hit this M, stands for memory. So my scissor icon appears up here. So that means I can do this buttonhole and the stitch is automatically going to be cut. I don't have to then finish my stitching and then reach up here for my scissor button. I can just program it automatically by hitting that button there. So yes, exactly. It is so cool. It's just, again, one of those easy to use, quick, convenient features where you just select your stitch, you hit your scissors and done. Then you do your stitching. Janome is all about just trying to make things quicker and easier so you get on with the task at hand, which is the actual sewing, instead of trying to do all the machine setup and all that. It's very easy that way. So I think that's very cool. So let's go for this, 9, my quick selection here, and I look up on my stitch chart, it's that over edge stitch. So I thought I would just demo that. Now, as usual, the foot holder, the feet are snap-on, so then the foot holder, it's just that quick release. So it comes with our usual A foot or zigzag foot, but we also have, the E foot, the zipper foot, and I demoed that on the A to Z with Janome series, the E episode, how to install a zipper. Now you also get, one of my favorites, the G foot that has this wonderful guide down the middle. This is for blind hem, but I also use this stitch or this foot for edge stitching because of that guide. So I demoed the G foot on the A to Z with Janome series. Again, our automatic buttonhole foot, so that's included. The F, or the craft foot or the satin stitch foot, it's the clear foot, and it's got the little guide or the little groove at the bottom, so all your decorative stitches can form there. So that's included. And yes, you've got a pack of needles and your spool pins and your seam ripper, of course. Your little screwdriver here. Now this is what's going to allow you to take off your foot holder if need be, or you're going to unscrew your needle plate if need be. So this is included. You can also get the little white screwdrivers that come with some machines as well, but you can get these in a blister pack. And I've taken Tanya's tip of putting nail polish at the end of your screwdriver, so then you know it's yours. And again, when we go and travel and whenever we can do classes in person here at the Janome Sewing and Learning Center, and let's say you want to make sure you get your tools, then put a little bit of nail polish or a little marker or something like that, so you know that's your screwdriver.
Maybe one day we'll have a glittery screwdriver.
Oh, that would be amazing. A glitter screwdriver, I'd love that. So these are available in a blister pack, but again, this little multi-purpose tool comes with your machine, so that's cute. And then, before I get on to that foot, then I'll just show that, oh yes, your auxiliary spool pin, so that goes up here at the top of the machine. So if you want to wind a bobbin, you can snap this spool pin on, so you don't have to take your thread off from the other spool pin. So that's very convenient. And I love this. This little hole up here can also accommodate, look at that, I love these little, and these are so cool, these little pin holders that you can get these also separately as well, and they have various different colors of polka dots and such, but those just fit up there. So this perfect pin cushion comes with your machine, and I love Janome, they always think of everything. There's even instructions on how to install this pin cushion. So again, they think, yes, exactly, again, Janome thinks of everything. They really try to eliminate the guesswork. So of where does this go and how do I put this in? So again, how cute is that? So that's wonderful. That comes included. Now, yes, I'll go on to the C foot and then we'll move on because there's always more. This C foot has these little fingers. They're basically, this looks like the stitch fingers that are on your serger. And then it's got the little brush here, the little shaving brush, but this helps support the stitches of that overcast stitch. So this is very much like your serger. And then when you snap this on, very conveniently, and do your over edge stitching, let's just put 2 pieces of fabric here, and then I put it up against the black guide there. And again, I could adjust my length of stitch. Whenever you adjust your width, be very careful because of those little prongs. You don't want them, you don't want your needle to hit those prongs. So I always like to go, ooh, nice and slow initially, even walk the flywheel by hand or the balance wheel by hand just to make sure that it's going to clear, because again, you don't want that needle to hit those pins. But you can see by going very slow how the needle is just going around those stitch fingers and then just going around that little brush to support those stitches. So this way, again, even if I do have that maker serger that matches my machine, again, sometimes it's just quicker to do the seam on to finish the seam on the sewing machine instead of threading up the serger. So like, how convenient is that? And then there's my scissors. So again, how beautiful is that? So that has completely finished off my raw edge. So that's great. So again, that C foot comes included, but also, oh, there's more. Another thing I loved about the machine, it comes with the cute little quilting attachment kit that comes with a number of our machines, or as well, you can buy that quilting attachment kit separately. But they have, oh, many things like, oh, this cloth guide I absolutely love. And it screws on, there's 2 different screws depending on your needle plate, because again, this quilting attachment kit comes with a number of machines. So 2 different sizes of screw that screws into the needle plate. And on your needle plate, there are some various holes, but you're gonna screw it in the one that has the threads inside. And once you get close up to the needle plate, like then it's easier to see which hole has the threads to accept that screw. And this needle, or this guide I absolutely love because it's totally adjustable. So as I'm doing whatever kind of seaming I want, or let's say I want to top stitch a deep hem, then I can adjust that cloth guide and screw it into place however the depth I need. So that's great. So that comes included with your M100. And as well, things like, yes, the O foot with the guide, the 1/4 inch seam foot with the guide. Now, this foot, I don't need to adjust my stitch. I just easily snap on my foot. And then again, I've got that guide to keep my fabric up against. And then there, I just stitch my 1/4 inch, so I don't have to adjust my machine at all. I'm just using the regular straight stitch. But because of that guide, it's now a 1/4 inch away. So that's perfect. Again, beautiful. Straight stitching there. 1/4 inch, so that comes included in your little kit. The F2 foot is the satin stitch foot or the craft foot, but it doesn't have that little bar in front when I compare the 2 feet. The F foot has a little bar in front of it, whereas the F2 foot is an open toe. So we have a little bit more visibility, great if you're doing applique, so you can really see your stitches, right up close. So that's included in the little bonus kit with this machine. We've got things like, this is the darning foot, the PDH foot that I demoed on A to Z with Janome, again on Janome HQ YouTube channel, that this hops around. So if I want to do some free motion quilting, I love using this foot, and demoed again on A to Z with Janome. We've got our capability at the back of the machine. There's a little lever that we can lower the feed dogs to do free motion quilting. So that's great. And I wanted to talk about, yes, this walking foot, fabulous for, again, if you're going to quilt through all layers, or let's say you've got, you want to match plaids, or you've got a napped fabric like velvet, and you want to make sure the top layer is feeding at the same rate as the bottom layer. So here we've got our fabulous feed dogs here, our 7 feed dogs on the bottom to feed our fabric evenly. So with this walking foot, now we've got some top feed dogs to help feed it evenly. But especially when we're going to quilt through all layers, we've got this quilting guide bar that comes included in the bonus quilting kit. Now, sometimes I see people say, how do I put this in? And they're kind of poking around here, or they're poking around in here. Well, this is plastic, and although, Janome, of course, tries to make it as durable as possible, at the end of the day, it's still plastic, and it could break. So if you're poking this in, going, how do I get this in? A little tip I want to share with you all. I find it easier to install this bar while the foot is off the machine. So I like to hold the foot like this, support it underneath with 2 fingers. Then I take my quilting guide bar and I put it over that slot in the back, is where it belongs. But instead of trying to slide it in, I like to clip it in from the top. So then I've got 2 fingers under the foot supporting it, and then with my 2 thumbs, then I click that into position. So it just is one quick clip. And then same when I remove it. So again, because I've got my fingers under the foot here supporting it, and then with my thumbs, then I click it in with one click. So then it's in position, then I can slide it however I want to, again, position if I do my parallel lines of quilting, my cross hatching, whatever, then I can move the guide that way. But to remove it as well, I would remove it from the machine, remove the foot from the machine, and then do the same thing, support it underneath the foot, and then snap it out of place. So I find that way you're not gonna potentially break that little part.
A question?
Yes.
Somebody said that their walking foot plastic did break.
Yes.
With the guide bar, and
Yeah.
they want to know any fixes, but you just need a new foot.
Yes, ultimately, if that little part of the plastic breaks, I mean, you can try, taping it together or even try gluing it ultimately. But, at the end of the day, if it does break, because again, plastic does break over time, then you could get a replacement foot from your Janome dealer that you'll be able to get one they may either have in stock or they could certainly order for you. And then our M100 here is a 7mm low shank machine. And then people always ask me all the time, how do I know if my machine is low shank or high shank? So what you do is you lower your presser foot so it's down against the bed of the machine, and then you measure up to that screw that holds your foot holder into position. Now, where I found this as well, I say, like, Google is your friend. The internet is your friend. So all I did was type in my browser, high shank versus low shank, and up came this little picture. So when my presser foot is down against the bed of the machine and I measure up to that hole where the screw is to attach my foot holder, if it's approximately 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch, it's a low shank. Or if I have, again, my presser foot down and then I go up to that, measure up to that screw, then if it's 1 inch or 1.25 inches, then it's a high shank machine. So my M100 here is a low shank because it's only, again, about 1/2 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch to that little screw for the foot holder. Now, speaking of foot holder as well, I wanted to share that this quilting guide bar can also be used with basically any foot with your foot holder. There's a little notch in your foot holder there that you can slide. This is where you will slide the guide bar. So if you wanted to use your F foot, for example, and I'll just even use my F2 here. So I want to do some decorative stitching because, oh yes, I've got all these beautiful decorative stitches here. Then I can slide this guide bar. Whoops, make sure you can see. I'm trying not to get my hand in the way, but it needs to be. So then you can slide this quilting guide bar. So let's say, oh, I want to do lots of rows of decorative stitches. So let's say I want to use my guide bar along this previous line of stitching that I did, and then, I'll just select very quickly. I'll go up to 60, and then I'll use this to select 68 for this satin stitch. Make sure my foot is down. And then this way, just by following that guide bar along that previous line of stitching, then I can do my rows and rows of decorative stitches. So, like, how great is that? And, like in all Janome machines as well, if you hit your reverse button while you're stitching a pattern, it's just going to stop right away, even mid-pattern where you are. And again, because I had my scissor selected, it cut right afterward. Or if I'm doing my decorative stitch and I want to complete that pattern, whatever stitch I have selected, if I want to complete that pattern, I then hit the lock button. So the stitching will complete after that whole pattern is stitched, and then it's just going to do its little tie off there. And again, those features are on every single Janome machine that has the lock button and the zigzag button. So again, no matter what Janome machine you have, they share a lot of those same features. So that's great. It makes it very convenient. So again, beautiful decorative stitches. Now I just want to mention, as always, then something I will mention too, with your quilting attachment kit, also included with your machine is a little cheat sheet, a guide about using your various feet that come in that quilting attachment kit. So that's great. That's also included in the machine. But yes, when you're doing your decorative stitches, you always want some stabilizer. So yes, our Madeira Stabilizer Starter Kit is perfect for stabilizing your fabric in order to do those decorative stitches, to support all those stitches. So you can get the stabilizer from the Madeira Stabilizer Starter Kit find which ones you really love, and then they come in these little clamshells, which are great to keep it all rolled up, to keep it dust free and clean and dry. So then the stabilizers come like that. So these are again available from your Janome dealer. So perfect to use regardless of what machine you have. Or something else I've also shown on Janome HQ, the Magical Machine Mystery Tour. I've shown this a couple of times, and then Janome's awesome accessory countdown. I've shown To Real Magic. It was episode 1, the ribbon sewing guide. So you can go back to, again, either IGTV icon to review that, or Janome HQ YouTube channel, the ribbon sewing guide for the awesome accessory countdown. To Real Magic is a starch, basically a stabilizer that you soak your fabric in it, and it turns your fabric almost like paper. It really stiffens it well, so then you don't have to use a secondary stabilizer underneath. That it really stiffens the fabric, so you don't have to layer it with a tearaway or a water soluble or anything, but then it will also wash away after you've done all your stitching. So that's great. So that's something as well from your Janome dealer. Now your machine comes with extra 4, Janome J bobbins. They got the little J on the post here. And why that's important is our Janome J bobbins have a little rubberized compound in them, so that helps the vibration, the sound. It's not so loud, but it also helps when you're sewing at fast speeds and you stop all of a sudden. That helps slow and stop your bobbin just where you need it. So the bobbin doesn't keep spinning, so it reduces that bird's nesting or that backlashing. So that's why we want our authentic Janome J bobbins, that again you can get more from your dealer. But speaking of bobbins, oh yes, look! You're going to be so thrilled that you tuned in for today's Janome HQ Magical Machine Mystery Tour. Yes, look at that. Janome 100 years special commemorative bobbins in a pack of 25 with the special anniversary logo. Can you believe Janome is 100 years this year? I will be 50 in June, and to think, wow, Janome is twice as old as I am. That's amazing. But yeah, so you can get these fabulous. These just came in. They are in our warehouse, so you can get them from your Janome dealer. And again, always share and show your Janome love. So that's great. I'm of the opinion you can never have too many bobbins. So now maybe if you want to, oh yes, also while you're at your Janome dealer, we've got the fabulous Madeira katana threads, let's say. So if you're going to use these gorgeous multicolor threads in your bobbin, maybe you want some special colored bobbins to then keep your cotton threads separate from your polyester threads, for example. So then we've got not only the 100th anniversary bobbins, but also quite new. We've had these red bobbins for the last couple of months. So again, check with your Janome dealer. Or again, we've had for a number of years the special blue bobbins or the pink bobbins as well. So now you can completely colorize your sewing room even more, depending. So that is great. So yes, how are we doing time-wise? My computer went to sleep.
140.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so again, even though I could continue, and there's way more information to share, but one thing I wanted to also point out is, again, our Janome accessories guide. You can go on to our janome.ca website if you're in Canada, and click the accessories tab, and we have the bilingual accessories guide. I've printed mine out, but it's all available online. So while you're searching, regardless of your Janome machine and your fabulous, M100 Qdc, and you're wondering what optional accessories are available, you can go to the janome.ca website and see the accessories tab and see what's available for your machine. So yes, and then contact your dealer and say, hey, I want that foot, and all the attachments and everything. Or if your machine didn't come with these cute little pin cushions, again, you can order them separately. So that's wonderful.
Other machines beside this one?
Yeah, so long as you have, there's a little, the little hole. So long as you have the little hole in the machine at the top, they will fit.
And Sandra asked if the guide includes the M7 accessories. Not yet.
Correct. Yes. Now, the accessories guide, because there's always so much to do, and because we're always coming out with new machines, the accessories guide on the website has not been updated to include the Continental M7. So maybe if you have, a new machine, then we haven't quite updated that guide yet. But certainly you can always write me classes@janome-canada.com, and I can certainly answer your questions too.
Absolutely.
And your dealer as well, certainly. So yes, okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. The time flew as usual, but it's wonderful to see you all. Thank you so much for joining me today for another Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour. And I will see you next week for another Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour. And again, what machine will I be talking about? Oh, I don't know. It's a mystery. So Tanya, if you just want to spin around and say goodbye and ignore all the clutter behind Tanya. Yeah, it's fabulous. Okay, thank you so much for joining me, everyone.
Everybody.
Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
I will see you next week. Bye.